Hello everyone, welcome to Numeriq Learning. So today we will be seeing about all the 8 theorems that are a part of your lines and angles which you have in class 9th, and we will see the 8 theorems in brief and we will do a lot of questions. Okay, so the very first theorem is something which we already saw, theorem 1. Okay, theorem 1 is nothing but if you have two intersecting lines, okay, if you have two lines that are intersecting at a common point O, okay, then the vertically opposite angles are same, right, are equal. So vertically opposite angles are equal. This angle is equal to this angle, right? So suppose you have your 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, this is your line AB. Okay, this is your line P and Q. So what does theorem 1 state? If your AB and if your line PQ, they intersect at O, then your angle 1 is equal to angle 3 and angle 2 is equal to angle 4, right? Vertically opposite angles are equal. Vertically opposite angles are equal. Okay, so this is your first theorem in your lines and angles, which you have to remember. Okay, now moving on to theorem 2. Okay, let me write this, theorem 2. Okay, so whatever we are studying in according to theorems, right, something which needs to be proved or which has already been proved, okay, so you have to remember these and you have to apply it when needed in the questions. Okay, when you're solving some problems, and if needed, if you have to make two angles equal, if you know, say, angle 2, right, if you have to find angle 4, you should be able to equate 2 is equal to 4, reason being vertically opposite angles are equal. So you are applying this fact that you learned using theorem 1 in your problems. Okay, now moving on to your theorem 2. What does theorem 2 state? Suppose if you have two parallel lines, let me draw two parallel lines. Okay, so these are two parallel lines and you have a transversal. Okay, so the parallel lines, let it be your L and M, be your two parallel lines. Okay, so L is parallel to M. Okay, in that case, each pair of alternate interior angles are equal. So for example, if you have angle 1 here, the alternate interior angle will be here too, right? And if this is angle 3, the alternate interior would be here, angle 4. Okay, so let us write according to the figure. Okay, if your L is parallel to M, then angle 1 is equal to angle 2 and angle 3 is equal to angle 4, because if you have two parallel lines and if you have a transversal, means a line which is cutting the two lines at two unique points, then your alternate interior angles are equal. Okay, alternate interior angles are always equal. Okay, so this is the second theorem, right? Now moving on to the third theorem, theorem 3. Also, so I'm just going to tell you what the theorem states, and I'm not giving you any proof. I'm not doing any proof in this video because we would like to solve a lot of problems. If you need the proof, please do comment and I will post a separate video with proofs of each of these theorems. Okay, now let's go to theorem 3. Theorem 3 is nothing but it's the converse of theorem 2. It's the converse of your previous theorem, theorem 2. Okay, That is, if you have, if, okay, from the same figure, let us write, if the pair of alternate interior angles are equal, that is, if one is equal to angle 2, and from the above figure, okay, so from the above figure here, okay, look at this figure. If angle 1 equal to 2 and if angle 3 is equal to angle 4, then I can say that L is parallel to M. It's just the converse. So what does theorem 1, what does theorem 2 say? If the two lines are parallel, then alternate interior angles are equal. And what does 3 state? If the alternate interior angles are equal, then it means the lines are parallel. So let me write here again. Okay. So here, if, okay, if the lines are parallel, according to your theorem 2, alternate interior angles are equal, right? And if alternate interior angles are equal, then lines are parallel. So this is your theorem number 3. So this is something which you have to remember. Okay. Now the next one is nothing but, if you have your another one that you have to remember is, suppose you have your two parallel lines, okay, two parallel lines, and you have a transversal, and these lines are L and M respectively, right? Here you have your say this is angle 1 and this is angle 2. Okay, what does it mean when I say 1 is equal to 2? So what it means is, if L is parallel to M, then I can say that angle 1 is equal to angle 2. And what are they? These are corresponding angles. Corresponding angles. Okay. Corresponding angles are equal. Okay. Now, suppose, according to the next theorem is nothing but your theorem number 4. Okay. Theorem 4. What does theorem 4 state? Theorem 4 states that, here let me write in this itself, that, so if you have L is parallel to M, right? If L is parallel to M, then the sum of co-interior angles is always 180. So for example, this is 3 and this is 4. So 3 and 4 are co-interior angles. Then angle 3 plus angle 4 is equal to 180 degree. Okay. So what is 3 and 4? These are co-interior angles. So this is your theorem 4. Co-interior angles. Okay, so the sum of co-interior angle is 180 degree, or you can say that 3 and 4 are supplementary. That's another way of saying it. Okay, or you can say it as angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary. So this is the term which we have already studied in our first part of the video. Okay, so far what did we study? According to your theorem 1, right, if you have two lines intersecting each other, then vertically opposite angles are equal. This is your first theorem. Second theorem is nothing but, if you have two parallel lines and if you have a transversal, always remember that alternate interior angles are equal. This is your second part. Third is nothing but, if alternate interior are equal, then the lines are parallel. These two are just the converse. So 1 is vertically opposite, 2 and 3 is relevant to, if parallel, then alternate interior are equal. If alternate interior angles are equal, then the lines are parallel. So 1, 2 and 3, I am sure you understood. Now, before we start 4th, you should always remember that if two lines are parallel, then the corresponding angles are always equal. Corresponding angles are equal. Okay, so this is as such not given as a theorem, but this is also something which you have to remember. The fourth theorem is nothing but if L and M are parallel, then the sum of the co-interior angles or corresponding interior angles, consecutive interior angles, the sum is always 180 degree, or you can say the angles are supplementary to each other. So this is your theorem number 4, right? Now let us move on to theorem 5. Okay. Here, this according to your theorem 5. Theorem 5, right? 4 is nothing but if you have lines are parallel, then the sum of the co-interior angle is always 180 degree. Now, here, if this is nothing but theorem 5 is nothing but just the converse of theorem 4. Converse of 4. What does it state? Suppose you have, again, let me draw it again for you. Suppose you have two parallel lines, okay, and you have a transversal, and if say this angle is 1, this is angle 2, and this angle is 3, right? If the sum of the co-interior angle, if you know that angle 1 plus angle 2 is equal to 180 degrees. So if you know that angle 1 plus angle 2 is equal to 180 degree, right? That means the sum of the co-interior angles, then it also means that, lines L and M are parallel to each other. Then L is parallel to M. So essentially, theorem 4 and 5 are converse to each other. So what is 4? If your lines are parallel, then the co-interior sum is 180. Theorem 5 states that if your co-interior angle sum is 180, then it means lines are parallel. Right? So far we have done 5 theorems. Now let's move on to the 6th theorem. Okay, theorem number 6. Theorem 6. What does theorem 6 state? Suppose I have got, again, let me draw two parallel lines, say L and M. Right? Now there is a third parallel line which is parallel to both the other two lines. So for example, suppose this is your L and this is your M and this is your N. Okay, we know that we are given that L is parallel to N. Okay, we also know that M is parallel to N. So you have the first, second and third. We know that the first line is parallel to the second line, the third line is parallel to the second line, which means that L is parallel to M. That means the lines which are parallel to the same line, okay, suppose you have lines, both lines L and M are parallel to the same line, that is N, that means they are parallel to each other. So this is your theorem number 6. Okay, so this is something which you have to remember. If you have lines that are parallel to the same line, then that means that they are parallel to each other. This is your theorem 6. Okay, now moving on to theorem 7. What is theorem 7? Very easy. It is nothing but the sum of the angles in a triangle is 180. So sum of the angles of a triangle is always 180 degree. Okay, so this is something which I'm sure all of you know already. Angle sum property of a triangle. Suppose you have a triangle A, B, C. Okay, this is angle X, this is angle Y, and this is your angle Z. Then angle X plus Y plus Z is always equal to 180 degree. You have to write the reason as angle sum property of a triangle. Okay. So this is your theorem number 7. Now the last theorem 8. Okay, last one is theorem 8. Theorem 8. What is your theorem 8? It is nothing but it is related to your exterior angle. Suppose I have a triangle like this, okay? A triangle ABC, and I am extending one side of the triangle. So let this be your A, B, C, and BC is extending to D, right? Now, whenever you are extending any one side of the triangle, the angle that line forms with the adjacent side, that is this, right? Now BC is extended to D. The angle that BC or BD forms with the adjacent side, that is AC, this angle is called the exterior angle. It's called exterior angle. Okay, now let this exterior angle be 1. Okay, interior angles of a triangle are 2, 3 and 4. Okay, always remember, according to the external angle property, okay, and exterior angle is equal to the sum of interior opposite angles. So let me write it here. Exterior angle is equal to the sum of two interior opposite angles. Interior opposite angles. Opposite angles. Okay. So if you take your angle 1, right, the interior angle is 4. No, but we are not bothered about 4. 1 is always equal to interior opposite angles. So it's 2 and 3. So let me write it. Angle 1 according to the figure, angle 1 is equal to sum of interior opposite angles. That is 2 plus 3. Okay, or you can write in terms of angle ACD is equal to angle CAB plus angle ABC. This is also the same way of writing. So this is your theorem number 8. So all the 8 theorems have to be understood, known to all of you, so that you can apply it in the questions. Okay. So we have just revised all the 8 theorems that are there in our lines and angles. Okay. So in the next video that will be your part 5. Okay. This is part 5. We will solve problems related to lines and angles. Okay. We will continue in the next video. Hope you liked it. Hope you understood the 8 theorems. Do like, do share, and please do subscribe. If you want the proof of these theorem, please do comment it and I will post it. I will do it and post the video for you. Okay. Do subscribe and please do share it with your friends. Thank you.